Basically.
Take steps away from
Guten Tag, alle!
Guten Tag!
Oh, that's impressive. Some of you actually knew what was coming. We try this again. When I say Guten Tag, alle, you say Guten Tag, Gustav, because that is my name. Guten Tag, alle!
Guten Tag, Gustav!
Much better. Those of you over there, you're welcome to stay, but I'm going to mostly talk to these people. Just so you know.
So you will sit over here and you will like it,
my name is Gustav. That is not all of my name.
The sound will be better from over there too.
My full name is Faire Gustav von Reichach, Hauptmann von das Fehllein. I will now give that to you in small English pieces, yeah?
Ja. Danke.
Faire Gustav means Baron Gustav. Baron because I am the son of a baron. My brother is the reigning baron of Reichach. But because my father was baron, I get to share the title as well. Faire Gustav von Reichach, Reichach being where we are from. Reichach is in Bavaria, in the Holy Roman Empire. You all know this, yeah?
Ja.
If you're not quite sure, that's why I have a very impressive German accent, yeah?
Yeah.
Give you a good idea where I come from. Hauptmann von das Fehllein means captain of the gold company. You see before you a small portion of das Fehllein, the gold company, the gold regiment. Specifically, you see those men in my regiment who speak English. Otherwise, you would see about 400 of us. The standard Fehllein size or company size is 400 men, made up of a variety of weapons that we will be talking about here for you today. What we would like to do is show you a little bit about the weapons and tell you a little bit about how we use them. Does that sound interesting?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Does that sound interesting?
Yeah.
Much better. So, we will begin with the most impressive and most important weapon in our arsenal. Come and see it. The pike. Maybe not what you expect me to talk about first, but this is in fact the most important one. Of the 400 men in my unit, about 325 or so carry this, a pike, a 14 to 20 foot long spear, what we call a Spieß. This makes Wurfum a Spießtrager, which is German for pike carrier. We're German, we're not very original people, yeah? Now, the pike itself was originally designed to be used against cavalry. Wurfum, links um links, gegen den Reuteren fällt den Spieß, Reuteren. You see here that Wurfum has just set the pike to receive a cavalry charge, putting the point at the height of a horse's chest. That is because if you have a knight charging you on horseback, it's far easier to hit the thing he's riding than to hit him. So what do you think happens when a horse hits the end of the pike?
It does.
Well, actually, it gets to about here before it dies. But yeah, it's not going to live very long. You can teach a horse to charge a pike formation once. Only once. He'll never do it again.
Or anything else for that matter.
That's true. A few things happen when the horse gets to this point. One, it falls down dead and becomes thinner later on. Two, pike probably breaks. Or maybe just Wurfum decides to let it go because he doesn't want to try and stop 1,200 or 2,000 pounds of charging horseflesh. But because he has it locked under his foot and pushed into the ground, the horse is not going to move him very quickly. Very solid position. Third thing that happens is not to the horse, but to the man on back of him. What do you think happens to him?
Falls off.
Well, he does fall off, but he falls off that way. And what do you think is behind Wolfram?
More spikes.
Peacetragen, Einfallen. Wolfram's friends. Now at this point, you need to imagine that this line is more about 400 men deep. They're all set, charged for horse in the first three ranks. Reuteren. This is right. So he comes off the back of the horse and becomes what our Turkish enemies like to call shish kebab. Very bad day for a man on horseback. Now obviously, you don't have many smart people charging against the pike formation with horse. Wolfram, Aufwärtschlagen in Spieß aufwärts. So you have to learn how to fight against other infantry. Alle Glied gegen den Pfeil, fällt den Spieß, Pfeil. They have now set their pikes at about the height of a man's chest. They are also locked up together, so that when you push up against someone on the opposing side, you are pushing against an awful lot more than one person. In fact, 3 men can hold a front line very well. Imagine that the average pike line is 10 to 20 men deep. You've got a lot of power going in this direction. We are a pointy moving wall. Very effective. Now the other thing you have to realize about the pike, and really the more important thing, is the man carrying the pike. Rechts op rechts, niederstellen, den Waffen niederstellen. Because without him I can't do a lot of damage. The problem is the average pikeman dies within 6 months to a year of joining the army. Yeah, I know, you didn't think this through very much, did you? So why would you join the army if you're going to die? Well, let us say that you are, we pick up Matthias. Matthias is son of a farmer. His father, in a good year, making good crop and very good harvest, is likely to make 4 guilder for the entire year. Matthias has now joined the front line of a pike formation. He will make 4 guilder in 1 month. 12 times what his father made. This is incentive to go out and possibly die. It's actually pretty likely to go out and die. An important thing to know is that none of these men are what you might call professional soldiers. Matthias is farmer. Wolfram was a student of physics, but he's trying to become physician. There was an incident with a few missing bodies. We don't like to talk about it. He thought it smarter to run away, join army. We have here Johann. Johann is son of woodsman. Fritz, what did you do?
Shoemaker.
Fritz was shoemaker.
Not very good shoemaker.
His soul wasn't into it. He
First
likes
time
when
I've ever heard that on my hair.
he likes when I give him a lot of tongue like that. So, Albert, what did you do?
Scribe.
Albert was scribe. He is writing things for the men, yeah? So, all of these people are deciding better to go out and join the army, make some good money. We've talked now a lot about the pike. We've talked a little bit to Albert. Let's see what Albert brings to the battlefield. Yeah, Albert, come and see you. Albert, tell these people what you have.
Everyone, say guten Tag to Helga.
Guten Tag, Helga.
Helga is very beautiful, yeah?
Ja.
Helga is a Zweihander. She is a very, very pricey lady.
Wait, tell them what does Zweihander mean?
Zwei is 2, Hander is...
Hand.
This is German poetry.
Now, a weapon like Helga, a Zweihander or Zweihander, or a halberd like you see here, is used in the hands of a Doppelsandner. German word meaning double soldier. Care to guess how much he gets paid?
Double.
He makes 8 guilder to their 4. That's because he has 1, survived much longer and learned how to fight well. 2, he has very dangerous jobs. Some of these jobs not so bad. First job, protect officers like me or maybe the flag of the Faire line. Generally not so bad. Second job, stand behind the pike formation. And when we enter the field of battle, maybe some schmutzen like Johann or Matthias are thinking about turning around and going home. They turn around and they see that Albert is going to change their mind. If they keep walking forward, they might die. If they turn around and go back, they will die. So better chances going the other way. But the real reason he makes good money is his third and most dangerous job. Spießen, links um links. Aufwärts schocken die Waffen aufwärts. Alle Glied, gegen den Reuterin, fällen den Spieß, Reuterin. If you come up against a pike formation and you need to make a hole, remember, 400 men, at least 325 with pike, Albert and 8 to 10 of his friends are going to go that way and make a hole in it.
This is the fun part! Ah!
Sorry, Wolfram. So you notice a couple of things happen here. One, common myth that weapons like this with the Viander are used to break the heads off pipes. That takes an awful lot of effort. You know what takes less effort? Moving them out of your way. Then you put all your effort in putting the pointy bit into the man holding the pike. Second of all, Wolfram lost his pike, and so he had to draw his secondary weapon. This brings us to our third weapon, the Katzbogen. All men in the Faire line must carry a Katzbogen. When you join, if you do not own one, you will buy one from the quartermaster. Care to guess how much something like this costs?
1 month's salary.
4 guilder, 1 month, and you're already in debt to me. I'd also like to point out that 4 guilder, I pay for nothing else. You buy your own food, your own clothing, your own weapons. If you don't want to sleep on the stars, you and your friends decide to buy a tent. So it's a, very good chance for other people to make money off the army. But you have to carry a Katzbogen. Couple things you notice about this sword. One, they're not very pointy. In fact, some of them, like Wolfram's, is rather like a butter knife. Yeah? That is because when I put the sword in the hand of any untrained person, they will instinctively do this. If I put the sword in the hands of any untrained American, they will instinctively do this. But the same principle applies. No training involved to teach you how to slash. But if I have to take time to teach you to thrust, that's far too much effort, especially because you're probably going to die. The sword itself is pretty short. This allows us to fight in close quarter combat. This way you're far less likely to hit the man next to you. It means that as you slash and move forward, you are essentially a walking Cuisinart. The sword itself is rather short and heavy. You'll notice that when Wolfram lost his pike, he used it to block a byhander strike. That's because it's got some weight behind it. He might be able to redirect the blow. This is good for him. But sometimes you end up really close in combat, and you need other options. You get to here, and Albert and I have come to 2 decisions. He has decided this is now a wrestling match. He's going to try and throw me. I've decided this is now a stabbing match, and I'm going to step behind and give him what for. because it's always a good idea to carry another weapon somewhere on your body. This particular dagger is called a bollocks dagger.
Oh.
If you don't know what that means, ask any English person. They'll happily explain. Kids, ask your parents. But at this point, we will now talk about the weapon that drew a lot of you here earlier. And that is a weapon that Fritz has. Fritz, come and see us. Fritz, tell them what you have.
Unlike Albert, I do not need to name my weapon. I do not need to give it sexy names. This weapon is sexy all by itself, yeah?
Yeah.
This is called a harquebus. This is what you might think of as a musket. This is a firearm, a gun in the simplest terms. You want I should continue? Oh, yeah, he's letting me talk. Bad idea. Very simple weapon. I explained to you how it works. We have a barrel. On the side of the barrel, there is a pan. I pour powder into the pan. I get the powder from one of these charges I'm wearing in this bandolier around my chest. Each one contains enough powder to fire once. Powder in the pan. I close the pan cover. I pour powder down the barrel. Once I pour the remainder of the powder down the barrel, I will put a musket ball down the barrel. Small ball made of lead, about ½ an inch in diameter. It fits very, very loosely in the barrel. In fact, I will probably carry them in my mouth so that during battle I can merely spit them down the barrel. They do not need to be ramrodded with a stick. Once that is done, the weapon is loaded. My commander will give me the command to make the weapon ready. I will put this match that I'm carrying, this piece of rope that is burning. It has been soaked in a chemical called saltpeter, which makes it burn a little hotter, a little more evenly. I place this burning match into this serpentine hook, test it to make sure that it is going to hit in the right spot, and then when the command is given to fire, I will usually blow on it, make sure the ember is nice and hot, open the pan cover, pull the tiller, and hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, the weapon will fire. Hopefully.
So now that Fritz has talked a little bit about this, you want to see it in action, yeah?
Yeah.
Circle Fritz. Buck betting. He reaches around. He grabs the powder, pours it into the pan, closes the pan, pours the powder down the barrel. He is not going to put a musket ball in, but I would like to point out all of this is done with a burning piece of rope in his hand, right near the powder. The rest of the powder is around his chest. He is essentially a walking bomb. Put that together. I assume that was why you were wearing breastplates. So. Now he is loaded. I will give him the command. Look, attack! Very simple command. Simply says, make ready. He will take his match, make sure it's in place. Fritz, Rex, Rex. And then I will give the command, get fire! He will fire the gun.
Whoa.
And then we get forward, yeah?
That had sound to it.
Now, you have to remember a couple of things when you see something like this. First of all, Dominant Hair, this is really the first modern firearm. This is the first time that we have all together lock, stock, and barrel. Prior to this, most handout firearms are really just barrels on a stick, like a handheld cannon. They're also incredibly likely to blow up in your face. This one, less likely. Doesn't mean it won't happen, just less likely.
Can you guess how much I get paid?
Not.
No, I actually make 8 guilder as well. But it's a slightly more risky job, yeah?
It is. Now, a couple of things that Fritz might do with a gun like this. It is not, of course, incredibly accurate.
It is not.
From here, Fritz could aim at either one of those fingers and hit the one he wants. To that distance, definitely accurate. Much beyond that, not so much. This doesn't matter to Fritz. Why, Fritz?
Because if I'm aiming at you, and I hit you instead, that's fine by me. My enemy is probably it very easy for me to hit somebody.
Meanwhile, those of you out there who have never in your life heard anything louder than the boom of thunder are standing there looking at a line of large men like this in all our impressive plumage, and suddenly, big boom, lots of smoke, and your friend 3 people down falls over dead. You're thinking it might be a good idea to go home. I don't have to kill you to win the battle. You can leave, that's fine with me.
You leave, we win.
That's right.
We get paid.
So now we show you a little bit about how we maneuver on the field of battle, and more importantly, in Prince's case, how you continue to load and make the weapon work.
Oh, goodness gracious. More?
At least one more boom. Maybe 2.
But now you're ready for it. But I don't put it with Faire, but wow.
Albert, talking to Muffin, Albert. So, we now prepare to march. Bereitstellung der Marsch.
Ja.
Volksmarschiert, Marsch. Hakebusse, march fertig. At this point, Prince has to load the pan. Spin around the gun. Load the pan in. Volksmarschiert, Marsch. All while keeping marching and in time. Alle Waffen gegen den Kien. Wie? Hakebusse, gebt Feuer. Feuer.
He's not putting them there. He's just flat.
Everybody likes
She was prepared for it.
To get an idea, there's a lot of moving parts involved here. Sometimes the gun goes up when you don't expect. Maybe in your face, maybe in your hand, maybe in the face or hand of a friend of yours. Good times. But now we show you a little bit about what it looks like when 2 forces come together. Albert.
Ja.
Du hast, teils mit mir. Bereitstellung der Marsch. Volksmarschiert, Marsch. You split our force in half and come up against each other for a bit of fun.
They got the gun though.
Did they get you, Bakeman?
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
I go for the big boom thing.
Oh, do you like that? I don't think I like it anymore.
I don't know, kind of risky.
Alle Waffen! Gegen den Wien! Während den Waffen!
Gegen den Spieß,
Volksmarschiert!
Marsch!
Hakebusse!
Marsch!
Feuer! Feuer!
Oh, normally they don't do that as an actual boom.
I think it was fixed.
He's fighting with his gun.
Oh, that's no fair.
That's the gun.
I am outnumbered, but not by the size of my ego.
Oh.
Someone who pays me won.
Go.
Now the one piece you're missing here is normally at this point where all the bodies are lying around, our wives and children would come out and take all the nice things that we would like them to grab for us. Pillaging after the field of battle is a right and a good reason to have your wife with you when you're marching. That, and she can do all the cooking, cleaning, and everything else that you're not very good at. At this time, if you have questions for Das Campaign, we would be happy to answer any of them you might have. Can you raise your hands? Yes, my name at the back.
What's the typical weight of the spear?
Good question. The pike itself is not terribly heavy. It's about 3-4 pounds. Yeah. The problem is about half that weight is at the end. So it becomes very important you learn how to handle that when it's moving around. Vorfam, Albert's Chogan and Spieß Albert. You'll notice that there are two ways to carry the pike. One is if you're less experienced, you do what Wolfram is doing. You hold your hand there. Second, once you're more experienced, you do what he's doing now. Wolfram, forwards, march, out, march. Right, shiver the heart, heart. Why do you have that on there, Wolfram?
Just help me know this one's mine.
Kills.
No, actually what it is those are pieces of Wolfram's first set of clothing. He just took them and tied them on, so when he has to scramble for a pike later, he knows this is his pike. Because he's very comfortable with it. Every man gets very used to his own pike, and every man would much rather go into battle with his own pole in his hands, as it were. So, other questions? Yes, right now.
What's the big sword weigh?
What is Helgavage? He's about, what, 6 or 7 pounds?
Just right.
Yeah. You would expect it weighs a lot more, but in fact it's really only about 6 or 7 pounds. That is a lot to have balanced, and that's why we have a very long handle, and also a secondary spot further up to choke up if you want to get closer, more manipulation. So it gives you a little more control. This sword costs about, because it is of the wavy shape, a standard by-hander would cost you about 40 guilder, about 10 months' pay for someone like Wolfram. A curved one like this is more like 60. It does no more damage, it just looks impressive. And it shows off that he can afford to buy a really expensive sword. It also means if it breaks in battle, he's having a very bad day. Something like this costs me about 10 guilder. And when the pole breaks, I go get a new stick. When that breaks, he's having a very broken heart, yeah? It will never be the same. Good question. Yes, my now. How long, well, good question. Fritz, how long it take you to load gun?
Well, I can get off probably 4 or 5 shots in 1 minute with something like this. So you saw me load it, takes little 10 seconds or so. That is assuming that the wind is not blowing, it is not raining, and that there's not smoke or sun in my eyes. But what I will do sometimes to increase my rate of fire, maybe I will have 2 of these. This is a very expensive weapon as well. This is 40 or 50 guilder weapon. I am finding this on the battlefield. I'm taking it from man who no longer needs it. I actually have 2. So during battle, what I will sometimes do, I will fire one, hand it back to my wife, who has just loaded the other one. She will hand it to me, and I will fire. So that way, this increases my rate of fire. This weapon is slower than a bow and arrow. A good archer can get off 10 or 12 shots in a minute. This weapon is less accurate than a bow and arrow and has less range than a bow and arrow. Maybe you see archery demonstration earlier. You see how it's very accurate, good long range. The difference is, you might maybe wondering why I'm using this. Why we are not using bow and arrow?
Because you don't get up after it.
Well, no, it's quite simple. It's because this weapon is idiot-proof. I can put this weapon in the hands of any one of those schmutzen, and in 2 hours, they are experts with it. In a couple of days, they're better than I am. A bow and arrow takes years of practice, years of training to learn how to use. And quite frankly, we don't have the time to train you, because once again, chances are, within the first 6 months, you're probably going to die. This weapon is easy to use, and that's why we are using it.
Very good. Other questions? Yeah.
As the Baron, are you carrying a weapon like, I'm sorry, I don't recall that, what that's called?
It's called a halberd.
Are you carrying that into battle and actually fighting, or are you?
I'm normally carrying a spear. Very important point amongst the Landsknecht. Ever since our Emperor Maximilian got down off his horse to face an Italian cavalry charge in the pike line with a pike. Every Landsknecht officer has led from the front.
Wow.
We lead our men, we don't follow them, we're not French. So, I will normally wear a breastplate myself because I'll be in the front line, and I will carry a spear, sometimes a polearm, so I can still defend myself and direct. Very good question, but it's a little different than most people are used to. It's what it means to be German and not English or French. Very good question. Other questions?
He said that he handed it back to his wife. The women went into the actual battle.
Good point. If we are in a place where we can, what is the word? Where we can emplace artillery, where we can leave them in one place, then we will have the women and children helping to load. Either helping load the artillery or helping to load the matchlock. So their place will never be indirectly in the battle, but they might be in harm's way, yeah. Good question. Now if we advance, and for instance advancing is part of the formation, no women and children go there. They come afterwards when there's nothing but a field of dead bodies and they pick a knee. Yeah, look?
What years was this set of weapons common on the battlefield?
So this is the years, I didn't even say, this is the year of our Lord 1514. This style of combat has been around for about 40 years at this point. Started in the later part of the last century, in the later part of the 15th century. Will probably be around for another 100 years. Very effective. Eventually, weapons like Fritz is carrying are going to start to change the way we fight wars. As you start to get more accuracy, or at least more affordability out of a weapon like that, it will change the way we fight. Already you are seeing this in amongst us. Damen und Herren, danke schön for your time. Wir haben das Geld Fähnlein. A round of applause. Come and visit us at our encampment down at the end of the lane. At 4 o'clock we will be doing a medical demonstration. Wolfram is our barber surgeon. He will be talking about the way that we treat the humors, how you might be leeched, and if things go terribly wrong, there might be an amputation. Danke schön, Harlan. Auf Wiedersehen. Wenn ein einfallen. Aufwärts, Joggen, den Waffen aufwärts. Rechts der von der Marsch. Ja! Großmarsch, Marsch.